SpaceX. Many people jumped into SpaceX. I know SpaceX has prospects. There is future in that stock. If you believe in the man behind the stock, if you believe that he can perform magic, then stick with SpaceX. Otherwise, you might want to listen to this conversation before you make the next decision on whether to buy SpaceX, or maybe you want to sell off SpaceX. So let's jump right into it. So I'm going to share something here just to further buttress my point. So this is the current outlook, current share trajectory for SpaceX since when the IPO was listed. So if you look at what I'm showing right now, so it hit an all-time high of up to $30 thereabout. Yeah, all-time high, and then it's been spiraling down ever since. Plateaued, went up, came down, and then let's do this again. So it started from the all-time high, came down, went up, came down, and then it's been nose diving ever since. As of the time of this recording, it was $112. This is the 4-hour interval. Currently, the RSI is 44. Well, it's still at the. Let me change the time to 1 month, and then let's change this to 1 day. So the RSI is 34. MACD, no values right now. Change this to a week. Okay, no data for that yet. 30 minutes. RSI is 44. Yeah, it's a bit low. So year to date. So RSI is 44. It's still an IPO. So I want to share some tips, some information you need as you consider whether to get out of SpaceX or to remain there, whether to add more to your volume of SpaceX stocks that you already have. So SpaceX went public a couple of weeks back. That was like a month ago or 2 months ago. So the price has been on a roller coaster, and Wall Street analysts are widely split on what it's actually worth. So in this video, we are going to check out what the analysts are saying, their price targets. So the analysts are saying that it's going between that the lowest point will be around $62, and then it's going to begin to run from there. Sometimes you may not be able to understand what analyst calls are all about, but let me share something here. On June 12, 2026, SpaceX pulled off the largest IPO in history, pricing at $135 a share and valuing the company around $1.7 trillion. Then the stock went vertical. It peaked at $225.64 on June 16th. So briefly worth more than $2 trillion. That was when everybody was singing of Elon Musk, trillionaire of the century. And then it came crashing back all the way down. Today it trades around $113, roughly 50% off that high. So this is a stock that already gave early buyers a wild ride, and its very first earnings report as a public company lands on August 14. So look at the trajectory from 135 to 225 to 30 thereabouts, and then all the way down to $112, $113. So what does Wall Street actually think? The consensus rating is moderate buy across about 30 analysts. 23 of these analysts say buy, 6 say hold, and just 1 say sell. And here's the number that jumps out. The average 12-month price target sits around $239. So from today's price, near 113, that implies the stock roughly doubling more than 130% upside on the average. So the tilt is clearly bullish. Most professionals covering this stock think it outperforms over the next year. But this is a big but, right? It's a big but here. So that average hides an enormous amount of disagreement, which is what I want to emphasize on. This to me is the real story. The price targets on this one stock range from $62 all the way up to $800. So if you got in at 135, 167, yeah, it's still gonna go further down. Yeah, it's still gonna go further down. Some of us are just waiting for the right time to start initiating a position. So it's still gonna go. I mean, I burnt my fingers with Figma, so I'm never rushing IPOs again. Then when I learned about how the big investors they dump on the first trade, what do you call it now? So there's something that happens with IPOs. So the initial investors they have like 3 windows to sell initial investment. So there's a lock-in period that you have to respect if you buy at IPO. You can't sell under 30 days. You can't sell. You begin to sell gradually across 3 windows. So that is the current situation with SpaceX. The average sits around 239, and the high end is a jaw-dropping 800. That is the projection that SpaceX has the capacity to hit $800, according to Raymond James. So when analysts disagree by that much, it tells you something important. They are not arguing over small details. They fundamentally disagree about what SpaceX even is and what its future is worth. So when you see a headline price target, remember it's one opinion pulled from a very wide range. So let's look at the bull case first. Let's look at the bull case. Currently, Morgan Stanley is the most bullish among all the analysts. Adam Jonas has an overweight rating and a $300 price target, which would be about 165% above the recent price. His thesis is fascinating. He argues SpaceX can in quotes now, that it can convert energy into intelligence at scale, meaning turn massive power generation into AI computing. Morgan Stanley models a $3.3 trillion revenue outlook by 2040, and the single biggest catalyst he points to plans to deploy more than 2 gigawatts of new AI computing capacity next year. So this, if you note, this $300 core is still above consensus, but below the extremes. So it sits over the average, but under the wildest bull. So they said it's going to hit as high as $800. But Morgan Stanley's been modest here. That in the next 24 months, they have the capacity to hit $300. So if you enter SpaceX today at $100, at $90, it has a potential exponential growth of up to $300. So you're like tripling your investment. So if you have 1,000 shares and you enter at $90, all right, 1,000 shares, and that's $90,000. So if you multiply that by 3, that's going to be $270,000. Bring it down. If you have 100 shares, you bought at $100, that's $10,000. So that means $10,000 times 3, that's $30,000 or $27,000. So it has the ability to hit that $300 mark over 2 years, over 3 years. So it's a long-term investment. They have the capacity to do this. It's built for it. And speaking of the wildest bulls, this is the bull case part 2. The highest target on the street comes from Raymond James at $800, which would value SpaceX around $10.5 trillion. Others include a $250 reaffirmed by citing AI and Starship progress, and Oppenheimer at $190. They'll be the first analyst outside the IPOs on the writers to put out a rating, but strip away the numbers. And the core bull argument is simple. No other public company operates across 3 category defining businesses at once. So currently SpaceX operates around satellites, internet, space launch, and frontier AI. So the bulls say that combination just can't be replicated. So it's like it's having a niche for itself in the industry. So what are the bulls actually buying? They are buying Starlink. They are buying the launch infrastructure, and they are buying AI. First, Starlink, which is a satellite internet with millions of subscribers all over the world in the most remote locations of the earth. They provide satellite internet for users all over the world. So that's a recurring revenue backbone. And for a lot of investors, it's the crown jewel. Secondly, SpaceX also engages in the launch business, which includes the Falcon and Starship rockets that already handle more than half of the world's orbital launches. And thirdly, the newest and most dependent pillar is AI. So after merging with XAI, the company behind Grok, and with plans for AI compute even in orbit, artificial intelligence became a core part of the story. So SpaceX is holding 3 enormous markets in one company. So that's the pitch. Now let's give the bear the microphone, because the skeptic here is worth hearing. According to Morningstar's Nicholas Owens, has a fair value estimate of just $63, roughly 45% below where the stock trades today. And this isn't a lazy gut call. He built a probability-weighted discounted cash flow model, the same rigorous method used to value any major company. And his point was that at today's price, the market is baking in near flawless execution across all three segments. Even the bulls admit their targets depend on rosy or proven assumptions. And here's a tell. Analysts are famously reluctant to slap a sell on a hot stock. So when one lone voice does push back this hard, it deserves your attention. Sells are rare for a reason. So analysts don't want to be on the bad books, so they try to play it safe. But if somebody is saying you need to, SpaceX has the capacity to go down further, sell off further into $63 range, then you should be listening, to be paying attention. So on August 4, SpaceX is going to be having its first public earnings report. So SpaceX's first ever earnings report as a public company is going to be taking place on August 1. So I want you to pay attention to that. This is huge because up to the analysts, they've been working off an IPO filing and a lot of projections. But on the 4th, the rubber will hit the road. You're going to have a clear picture of the financials, of the economic burden. So analysts are going to be looking at the AI compute roadmap. You're going to have visibility into concrete details on that 2 gigabyte plan Morgan Stanley is betting on. Starlink subscribers trends. So how many subscribers does Starlink has right now? How many of those are return customers? How many of those have been able to, they have been able to stay with Starlink for at least 2 months, 1 year. So you're going to be able to gain visibility to all of those information. And of course, AI, capital spending. How aggressive is the capital spending of SpaceX? So the bottom line is that the first three numbers could move this $62 to $800 targets in a hurry. Either ways, it will move it further up or further down. All right. So let's bring it all together. What does it mean? All right. All these things we've been rambling for the last 10 minutes. The bullish tilt is real. The consensus is a moderate buy, and the average target near $239 rather. So that implies that the stock has the capacity to double. Number 2, it's highly speculative right now. Okay, so that $62 to $800 spread means the valuation hinges on huge unproven bets on AI and Starlink. Number 3, the catalyst is close. August 4th earnings could reset sentiment overnight, and you need to do your research. All right, so this is what it means. So don't just listen to hearsays. Do your own research. This is a stock where the range of outcomes is enormous. It will either go sideways, it will either go up. And that's the breakdown of what Wall Street is saying about SpaceX. So everything in this presentation is for educational purposes. Don't quote me anywhere. Just trying to navigate you to where you should invest your money. So I'm not forcing you to invest your money, but make sure you do your due diligence, you do your research before you make a decision. Right. See you on the next one. Take care.